globe, a smaller version of the bigger one that's out in Queens in the World's Fair Park. So round we go around Columbus Circle, the only roundabout in New York. Columbus Circle was named after, any guesses? Christopher Columbus. Very good, sir.
Yeah.
That's right, no trick questions here. Christopher Columbus sits atop that pillar and stares down Broadway day after day. The three ships that are all around the pillar represent the three ships he took to come to the Americas, the Nina, the Pinta, the Santa Maria. And that monument on the southwest corner of the park, that beautiful gold statue, is the USS Maine Memorial. One of my favorites because it's so triumphant, and that was built. The USS Maine is one of the one of the triggering events. That's the word I was looking for. Triggering events for the Spanish-American War. So that was what's it's memorializing. So ahead of you guys is Central Park. We're gonna get a good idea of how skinny Central Park is. Central Park is really only half a mile wide, but so long, right? It's 843 acres ahead of you, and 843 acres of volcanic rock, of rolling hills, of 7 bodies of water, little meandering pathways, etc. And Central Park's a great place to come in the summer. You've chosen a good few dates to come in New York, because the summer is always fun. There's always something going on in New York, right? And in Central Park, in the Great Lawn, which is directly behind the Metropolitan Museum, there's always a concert going on there. There are all these concerts of days past, the Simon and Garfunkel concert, Diana Ross, Barbra Streisand, Elton John, Dave Matthews Band. They've all given free concerts on that lawn. Same with the New York Philharmonic. They perform every year as well. Yo-Yo Ma, Luciano Pavarotti, Joshua Bell have all performed for free on the Great Lawn. Hey, The Ride, want to show us what that might look like, the New York Phil in Central Park? Fabulous, and that's taken us right to the Artist's Gate. This is one of the main entrances of Central Park, guarded by 3 equestrian statues. The first one being Jose de San Martin, Argentine, Peruvian, and Chilean liberator. In the center is Jose Marti, a Cuban intellectual and poet, and Simon Bolivar, Venezuelan liberator. So all 3 part of Spanish-American history guarding the Artist's Gate there. So as we drive by this pond that you can see, it's called the Duck Pond, or just the pond. It's featured in a lot of movies. Every time they shoot a sequence in Central Park. Oh, and someone's getting married. Oh, how lovely. So one other great thing to do in Central Park, if you're walking around these days, you might see people lining up for something, queuing for something. What are they waiting for? They're waiting for tickets for Shakespeare in the Park. The free Shakespeare every year in the park, presented by the Public Theater, and these productions are exquisite. The Ride, can you tell us more about the Shakespeare?
Tony and Academy Award-winning actors have been gracing the stage of the Delacorte Theater for nearly 60 years. James Earl Jones, Colleen Dewhurst, Meryl Streep, Al Pacino, Blythe Danner, Sam Waterston, Martin Sheen, Billy Crudup, Rosario Dawson, Raul Julia, Anne Hathaway, Jonathan Groff, Kevin Kline, Pedro Pascal, Annette Bening, Amy Adams, and John Lithgow are just some of America's finest actors who have given us free nights of splendid acting in Central Park.
That's right. Best productions of Shakespeare I've ever seen in the United States, by far, and in this outdoor theater. And so we're just finishing along Central Park here. Now, you've seen a lot of these horse carriages. There's actually a big debate going on in the city about whether or not this is the most humane way for these horses to be spending their lives, sort of pounding the pavement and dragging people along day after day. And a lot of people are suggesting that we release the horses in a more natural environment, and that all the horse carriage drivers would be given a free New York City taxi license, and so they wouldn't be out of a job. But on the other hand of the argument, people are arguing that this is, you know, somewhat of a New York institution, and that it is a tradition, and that, you know, people associate those kind of horse carriages with Central Park. So we're saying goodbye to Central Park now. We're driving by this whole mess that's going on here. In that box is a statue of General Sherman, a Civil War hero, and they're currently actually protecting it from the construction going on all around it at Grand Army Plaza, named after the plaza, which is a hotel that is actually behind us. So we don't get a good view of the plaza, but we do get a good view of the Pierre Hotel, which is this tower with the green top. The Pierre Hotel has had a lot of famous residents. You know, we're starting to get into Upper East Side territory here. So if you're Liz Taylor, for example, you might be staying at the Pierre Hotel. And who else has stayed there? Yves Saint Laurent lived there. That is where the Copacabana Club was as well for about 80 years, the Copacabana Club. The shorter building in front of it, with the green top, is the Metropolitan Club. The Metropolitan Club was a gentlemen's millionaire club, millionaires gentlemen's club, and that was started by J.P. Morgan. And so all these people, the Astors, the Rockefellers, the Carnegies, all of them, all were members of the Millionaires Club, the Metropolitan Club. But they just started accepting women, but you have to be a millionaire still. The third tower here, this sort of darker tower, is the Sherry Netherland. It's really gorgeous, and one thing to think about that makes you think is in that top tower, every floor is a separate apartment. There's actually a great fire in that building. But it looks beautiful once more. So we're going to be turning, guys. We're going to be turning onto 5th Avenue. Has anyone been to 5th Avenue yet? Has that made it? Yes. Done some shopping? Window shopping, like me.
Window shopping.
That's right. So 5th Avenue is the first thing we're going to be seeing is the General Motors building, which is this tower here. The General Motors Tower, one of the first buildings first skyscrapers on 5th Avenue. And right in front of it is not only the Cartier store, but also the flagship Apple store, which, as you can see, or as you cannot see, is invisible. No, it is underground. Just kidding, guys. It's actually open 24 hours. You can go get an iPad at 4 in the morning. And the FAO Schwartz right next to it, which will be closing in the next few weeks. That is an institution here in New York. But we are waving goodbye to FAO Schwartz as it will no longer be there. They have lost their lease. Very sad. Bergdorf Goodman, Louis Vuitton. We're going to be driving by the Tiffany & Co. store with its eggshell blue awnings. That is a patented color. You cannot use that shade of blue unless you pay Tiffany a lot of money. Even the guys, the doormen, have those ties in that very same blue color. Guys, in that building is a $65 million diamond. I don't even want to think about it. That diamond, the Tiffany diamond is known as, was only worn twice. Once by some lady in the UK, and another time by Miss Audrey Hepburn for the Breakfast at Tiffany's. That's right. Audrey Hepburn wore that diamond for the promo shoots of Breakfast at Tiffany's, which they called Tiffany's in the movie, but it is not called Tiffany's. It is called Tiffany & Co. Truman Capote got that wrong. The Trump Tower is right next to Tiffany, and Trump Tower, you know, if there are any Apprentice fans, actually Jay-Z and Beyonce currently reside in the Trump Tower, so New York City royalty in there. be driving by the Polo Ralph Lauren store, which currently has a little cafe on the second floor called Ralph's. And the De Beers is housed in the St. Regis Hotel, one of my favorite buildings in Manhattan. Beautiful palazzo-style architecture. The St. Regis Hotel was started by John J. Astor, who was known to be the richest man aboard the Titanic. And Salvador Dali stayed at the St. Regis when he was in New York. He loved the St. Regis. Fifth Avenue, no surprise here, is the most expensive shopping street in the world. And it's a great place to come at Christmas time because all of the window display artists actually have a competition to see who can make the most magical window display. It's really great. It's actually funny, the window displays at Tiffany's are always so tiny because, you know, what they're selling is so small that they actually close off most of the window to have this tiny window where the diamonds are exposed. Hi! This is one of the few remaining attractions in New York that can actually get the attention of New Yorkers who are usually just looking down and are really cynical. That guy's impressed. You like? Hey!
You're so funny.
As we drive by 53rd Street, one fun thing to do, look all the way down 53rd Street. All the way down, there's a blue building, a city building. That building all the way down that street is actually in Queens, which is a totally different borough. It's the tallest building outside of Manhattan. The Cartier store, which used to be a single family home, but they sold their home to the Cartier estate for $100. $100. But the true gem of Fifth Avenue, ladies and gentlemen, is St. Patrick's Cathedral. Get a look at that one.
Oh, 这是最著名的大教堂。
St. Patrick's is the seat of the Archdiocese of New York.
Very pretty.
They just finished renovating it. Beautiful. It's the largest neo-Gothic cathedral in the United States. Really gorgeous. So guys, we are now among the buildings that make up Rockefeller Center. We're going to be driving right by the plaza, so make sure to take a look down there in the plaza. Right by where the flags are is where the Christmas tree would be every year around Christmas. The Rockefeller Plaza tree, right, that gets lit every year at Christmas time. Huge Norwegian pine. And that tradition of lighting a Christmas tree right there started in 1930 when Rockefeller Center was being built. And the workers, the construction workers, didn't have Christmas Day off. So they found a little shrub and they put it in the plaza and they decorated it with nuts and bolts and food or whatever they could find around them. And that started the tradition of that Christmas tree lighting. So Rockefeller Center, as I mentioned, is 19 buildings in total. And that is the largest commercial complex of buildings in the world. The one that's in front of you right now is the International Building. And, you know, a lot of buildings are famous in Rockefeller. So there's the GE building where the NBC studios are, if anyone watches 30 Rock. But the first building to be built as part of Rockefeller Center was Radio City Music Hall, the very first. And we're going to be driving right in front of it. Haha, hear the music. Very nice, the ride. Radio City Music Hall obviously is famous because of the Radio City Rockettes, right? The New York City Rockettes bring fame to Radio City Music Hall. They're these high-kicking ladies synchronized dance team that perform every year, especially around Christmas. But this year, for the first time, they actually had a spring show, the Spring Spectacular. So the New York City Rockettes started out as the St. Louis Rockets, and a man named Roxy from New York, who had a theater called the Roxy, asked those ladies to come over to New York and start dancing for him, and they were therefore renamed the Roxyettes, until Radio City was built and they asked Roxy to come with his ladies, and the Roxyettes became the Rockettes, which they are today. And but the Rockettes aren't the only famous part of Radio City musical. There's also the mighty Wurlitzer, which is this big organ that is hung above the stage, and the stage itself is a celebrity at Radio City. The Ride, can you tell us more about the stage, please?
The three pieces of the enormous 10,000